Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green. I'm the manager of the AFC Wimbledon Wimbly Womblys, who are in the Capital One Cup taking on Middlesbrough. Not Middlesbrough, Middlesbrough. That's how they say it. And that's also how they spell it. The Capital One Cup, not the most prestigious of the competitions that we're in, since we're in the Premier League, the Euro League, the FA Cup. But obviously, we want to win every competition that we're in. That said, we've played 6 games in 11 days, so we made 11 substitutions. We're starting an entirely new club. Most of them are very young, including that guy right there. He's a fan of Amankwa, so he also wears pants. His name is Ivan Mellis. I don't have a good nickname for him. Don't have a nickname for a lot of these guys. Yabamba is our captain today. But yeah, it's a whole new squad, almost all youths. Today I'm going to talk about whether adulthood sucks. And I figured that it would be nice to play a bunch of children in that conversation. So yeah, it's all kids. Literally in many cases. Lots of these people are under 18. They're products of the AFC Wimbledon brilliant youth development system. So we've got Green Eggs and Sheringham and Yabamba up front. Those are well known. We've got Jagier Lightning Strike O, very young guy. Juan Maresca, who you've seen a few times, and then in the back, just a whole new group of people. This guy Palacios, he's new. He's got some speed. He's got some hustle. He's 16 years old. He loves. I can't think of anything for him to love right now. I want to talk about whether adulthood sucks. This is a question that somebody asked me on the Twitter recently, and it seems really common that like young people think that not. That adulthood sucks. Great job there by Ivan Mellis, by the way, saving his first 2 shots as a Wimbly goalkeeper and then making a terrible distribution of the ball. So I think when I was a teenager, I thought, I guess looking back, or even when later, that's a red card. That is a red card. That is, you should pull out the dark one for that, because that was dirty. I'm faster than you and better than you, and you couldn't handle it, so you cheated. That's what happened. That was dirty. When I was even in my 20s, I think I kind of associated 2 things with adulthood. First, I thought that adulthood represented essentially the end of life. That I was going to find a career or of some kind, and then I was going to get married, and then I was going to kind of just wait it out, just kind of run out the clock on my existence. Oh, it's a beautiful goal! It's a beautiful goal from Juan Maresca. His first goal is a Wimbly Wombly, and look at him! Oh, he kisses the ground of his beloved plow lane. Oh, I love it. Juan Maresca, he's a beautiful bald man. He had a lot of space, and he just said, "I love my Wimbly Womblys." It's 1-0 to the good guys. Great to see the AFC Wimbledon youth showing some pride and some skill. Admittedly, they're playing Middlesbrough, not top level competition, but still good to see. And of course, I think we'd all like to see Yabamba get a goal. That's something that we dream of every season. It's an important, even though Yabamba's role has diminished dramatically over the years as we've moved up in the leagues, he's still a really important player in the practice field and in the locker room. Anyway, so I kind of thought adulthood would be sort of running out the clock for 50 years, which is crazy to think about because, but I think it's some of it is the sort of fascination in America with coming of age and thinking of ourselves as sort of an adolescent nation, for lack of a better phrase, and but we do think that every romantic comedy ends with the wedding. Every story ends with getting the job or finding your way, and then it seems like once you've found your way, you just sort of continue on that path until the sweet embrace of death. And yeah, I don't think that's fair at all. It turns out that adulthood is far more interesting than that. The other thing that I thought is that adulthood would suck. That all the things about being a person that I really disliked, bureaucracy, paperwork, having to go to meetings, keeping a calendar, all of that stuff. That all of that stuff would get worse, not better, and that it would eventually take over my life. And I would be sort of I would look at adults and they would seem kind of like robots to me, kind of like these miserable automatons, just going through the motions in order to feed their families and not die. Oh, it has to be, and it is. Is that a second goal for Juan Maresca? Who scored it? What? Excuse me? Oh, yeah, good point, actually. Fair enough, referee. It was a smidge offside. Um, I was getting so excited though. I don't even know who that was. But it was just absolutely thrilling. It might have been Green Eggs and Sheringham, who hasn't had a Wimbly Wombly goal in like 2 seasons. So that would have been pretty special. Anyway, oh, that was from way outside. These boys are not afraid. Um, yeah. So now I am 37 years old. I am like suitably middle-aged, I think, to begin commenting upon adulthood. I don't know what it's like to be old, um, but I'm properly a middle-aged man at this point, as uncomfortable as that might be to think about. And I have to say that I quite like adulthood, and I don't like adulthood. I mean, I know that's like people will be like, "Oh, well, yeah, you've got this like great adulthood, and you have the job of your dreams, and you're a semi-professional FIFA player, and you get to sponsor the greatest club in the history of the world, AFC Wimbledon." And like that's all true. Like I have had an unusually awesome adulthood. That's not a good finish from Juan Maresca. I expect better of him. Or was that Green Eggs and Sheringham? Green Eggs and Sheringham, really? It was an amazing opportunity. You probably should have just taken it with your big meaty forehead. Anyway, what I like about adulthood, or 99% of what I like about adulthood, has very little to do with my career. I mean, I love making Wimbly Wombly videos, and obviously I feel very grateful that for my professional life. I also have lots of friends who aren't writers or semi-professional FIFA players. And I think most of them feel the same way, that there is like tremendous fulfillment, in like the uh, feeling, at least this period in my life feels to me like I know a lot about what's really important to me. Like one thing that's really important to me is when Jaggy A Lightning Strike scores a goal and honors Bald John Green, who's done so much to help Jaggy Lightning Strike move on with his career. That was just a beauty. Yabamba with an awesome assist. It was Yabamblicious. I almost want to sing the Yabamba song. It was such a good assist, but I won't. Um, anyway, there's I like I like the relative security. I like being married a lot. I love having kids in a way that I never thought I would. Like I thought that having kids is like very stressful and difficult and exhausting, but they're just lovely. They're just fascinating and wonderful to watch grow up and to be a part of that. And all of that stuff that I thought was just sort of like miserable and soul crushing turns out not to be. Like a lot of like David Foster Wallace's later work was writing about like boredom and how there's a bliss to boredom, and I think I mean obviously he's a billion times better than me as a writer, so I might well be wrong about this, but I think maybe he was I think maybe he wasn't being fair. It's not really, for me at least, it's not really boredom. It's that there's a bliss to long-term relationships, and I don't just mean like romantic ones. I mean like friendships, like relationships that were longer than I could have, than my high school relationships could have been, because I just hadn't been on the planet long enough. There's a bliss to the the comfort of being able to hang out with people that you know really well, and people who become like family to you. Like our best friends are like family to us. There's a bliss to being to spending time with work colleagues who you enjoy and value. And like, yes, there's also like stress and misery working with people who are difficult to work with, like Meredith, just a notoriously difficult person to work with. Just no, I'm just kidding. She's a delight. But yeah, I mean, like I love coming into the office, and I love working with Mark and Stan and Zulea and Meredith and Brandon and Sheridan and everybody here, because it's they're interesting, cool people, and we get to do interesting work together. And like that's not true just if you are working with us. Like there's interesting, cool work to be done at lots of different offices and stores and retail locations around the world. Like there's, and there's also a feeling of like, I feel connected to a community in a way that I never quite could as a teenager. I think just because my roots hadn't grown deep. So I have to say it doesn't suck. And a lot of the things that I thought would suck don't suck. Now that said, like in the same way that when I was a teenager, if you asked me if I was happy, I would have been like, well, it's quite a bit more complicated than just like happy or not happy. You know, so is adulthood. Like it's complicated. I guess the thing for me is that like it's still life. Like it's still life that's like brimming with complexity and interest and human problems and all that stuff. Whereas I kind of thought that it would be somehow less vivid or less real or exciting. It really isn't. Yeah. So I don't know. I have been impressed by the complexity and vividness of adulthood, but it for me at least, it's like some of the vividness that made adolescence really terrifying isn't there for me in quite the same difficult way, because you know I have done these things before. Like I know that they're survivable in a way that you don't know that things are survivable when you're going through them for the first time. So yeah, I don't know, man. It doesn't suck, I don't think. And I think if you ask most adults if adulthood sucks, they would say no. I think you know, they would say that there's actually quite a bit to recommend it. Come on, to your friend. Oh, Yabamba, you're fast enough. Oh, I really want to go for Yabamba. I think we all do. It'd be a great way to cap a nice, comfortable win from the youth of AFC Wimbledon. I have seen a little bit of, I've got to say, like Gerpegi right now, who's playing in defense. Seen a little. I haven't seen from. Oh, that was a nice interception actually. But I haven't seen from Gerpegi quite what I wanted to see. I've seen some disorganization, some inability to make good decisions back there a little bit. But you know, they're young. They got a long way to go. Some of these guys are going to stay with the club. Some are going to move on to other opportunities in lower leagues or go on loan and stuff. But you know, I don't know. I'm finding myself a little bit hopeful about the future of AFC Wimbledon. We've got a nice core, but we've also got a lot of young guys who are just already in the first team. The golden child, who's only 9 years old. You know, Les Moore is still quite young. I don't know. We got a lot of young players. We don't have a lot of guys who are considering retirement right now, which is always encouraging. But we're not going to make any substitutions today. These are young men. They can run for 90 minutes, and if they can't, they need to learn how to. So not going to make any substitutions. Come on, you needed to get to that ball. Green Eggs and Sheringham. I got to say again, I mean, Green Eggs and Sheringham could have been a great player for us. Like could have been a one of those Wimbly Womblys like Yabamba, who everybody always remembers, and he just never. You know, sometimes it doesn't pan out. Like, he's going to do other things in his life. That's the weird thing about being a professional soccer player is, like, you're kind of playing a kid's game that, you know, isn't, like, the vast majority of your adulthood is going to be spent doing something else. And maybe Green Eggs and Sheringham, in fact, I suspect he will. He's going to go on to awesome things. What a great save by Malice! Malice, are you a genius? Rhetorical question. The answer is yes. Great save. That kid has a future for the Wimbly Womblys. Clean sheet from him. Comfortable 2-0 win by our youths. Thank you for watching. Best wishes.